they tried to say it all had to do with this volleyball game, and all the football players. We would normally go to the volleyball games or the basketball games post football seasons. That was when we could get in fights, like all the fights we couldn't get into during football season, all the beef we had with other schools, that would happen at the basketball games we go to, and then get in fights in the parking lot. And and so the volleyball games, though, we go obviously because of the girls. And a bunch of them went to like this game at a rival school, and like we're just, being high school jackasses, and we're like talking shit to the girl players who are out there, and they're like, "Hey, 22, it looks like you shit your pants," like blah blah, like dumb stuff like that. Naturally, the dads there got pissed, tried fighting a couple of like the students.
The dads were trying to fight.
Oh yeah, no, they did fight them. Yeah, in the parking lot. Yeah, and I wasn't there for this. But then we had the district lawyers come in, and they talked to the whole football team, and they were like, put everybody on notice that like there's zero tolerance for anything going forward. Like, we can't stop you from going to these games, but you shouldn't. And if you do, blah, blah, we're watching you and everything else. So naturally, we went to the next volleyball game without question. And we're like, yeah, whatever, we're going to go. And I was there sitting with one of my best friends, a couple of my best friends, actually, but one of them by the same name of Nate, which was funny, and his mom, who and his sister was playing in the game, and they went to church with me. We went to the same church, and she comes in, and I go, "Hey, Mrs. A, there's a seat right here for you," and like just patted the seat next to me, like, "Come sit with us." That was it. And then like his sister, whatever her number was, like 32. I was like, 32, looking good. Hey, 32, like looking good. Like, you would cheer anybody at a sporting event type thing.
Sure, yeah.
And the security guard, who was a pothead and my former wrestling coach and hated me because I stopped wrestling after 2 years in favor of football, he basically went and told the administrator that I was sexually harassing my best friend's mom and a volleyball player who was also my best friend's sister. And so without questioning them, on behalf of them, they accused me of sexually harassing my best friend's mom and his sister, who were clearly close to me and went to the same church. And they expelled me on his word, saying that, like, sexual harassment, the person who's harassed has to come forward. And they did it on his word and just emergency expelled me. And so naturally, like, got a lawyer, and they had a field day with this.
Okay. But, so wait a second though. This is really interesting because
I hate authority even more. Like this. Well, there's so much that goes into this.
But there's another element. So are you frozen? Okay. So
element of conspiracy, Nate Night Talks.
Yeah. So, you've done deep dives for years on conspiracies, from government to UFO to ancient history. And I mean, you do a great job of finding the facts, and then, how the narrative is that we accept is clearly off for many different topics. So I'm assuming a lot of that didn't take place in high school. That, from what I remember of previous conversation, a lot of that didn't take place until after college, correct?
Definitely.
Okay.
College.
So, but I'm hearing something that's just so fascinating, because here's a coach, a person of power, a person that should have your back to some extent, or at least want to find out, hey, let's get you back on the team. What's going on? Are you really sexually harassing this woman, or whatever? Mm-hmm. And instead he gets you expelled. So essentially, this is so funny to think about it like this, but essentially it's a conspiracy theory to take Nate down.
Yeah, it was. And they wanted to.
And you wanted
to for a lot of reasons.
15, 16. How old were you at the time?
17. 17? Like a senior year.
Senior year, 17 years old. And there's a conspiracy to take Nate Scholz down. Like, and I mean, at first they were successful. And then, I mean, do you think, had your family not had the resources, not had the means to fight this, do you think you could have overturned it?
Oh, no. It was like, I was their example. They were making an example out of me. That was what it was. Like, which is like, we're seeing this happen today with a number of things, of people they're making examples of, like, who legally they have no recourse against, who didn't break any laws. And they're doing this. This is what this is the MO of people in authority. It's to make an example. And so
this is so funny because I mean,
I'm glad you're amused at my woes.
I mean, knowing what I know and how ardent of a I don't know, crusader warrior you are over power, injustice,
use of power,
yeah, or rewriting narratives, and trying to change history to mold it, to suit people in power. Like, that is something that is high on your list, and here you are in high school. A literal conspiracy to take Nate down was perpetrated, and had you not had the money and the means, your family not had enough, I mean, if they didn't have the money to hire a lawyer, you would have been SOL. I mean,
they really didn't either. They just knew, like, it was middle of football season. They knew how brokenhearted I was, because it was like senior year and I was going to have to go to our most hated rivalry, like school, where I had enemies. I had like enemies there.
Well, especially all the fights that you got in.
Yeah. And I was like, this, like, it was just terrible. I mean, like, and as I say, it was actually kind of it's funny you say that, because I never really put two and two together from this particular incident. That's kind of the first encounter I saw too, with, like, a bunch of students showed up to, like, the pep assembly for that football game. I don't even know if they do this shit anymore. I got participation points in the world we live in now. I don't even know if there are winners or losers of football games, but they're a bunch of the students and my fellow football players came up to, like, the pep assembly, and they brought, like, all these, like, signs they made that were like, bring back Nate and blah blah, like, justice for Nate, and like other things like that, of which the administrators didn't care at all. But it was like just this idea of, and knowing that and seeing that means nothing. Like, the only thing that means something is, like, legal recourse. And
but it's kind of fun at the same token. I mean, because you were in your own little way, in your high school, you were like, I'm thinking of the Hurricane, Ruben, the boxer, who was wrongfully.
Of a hurricane.
Yeah, Bob Dylan song. Yeah, I mean, in your own little way.
Definitely not as extreme.
That's so funny.
For murder, but I was, it was a crazy experience, and one that I think really opened my eyes more so to things I'd already known, but then seeing them firsthand, where a lot of people they have this illusion that authority can't be corrupted, that the government, or like these people, always have your best interests in mind, and that there's no way they would do this, or there's no way they'd be smart enough to pull this off. There's no way, like, they could actually, but they can, and they do it all the time.
Well, it's worse than that, though, because it's not that they don't think they have your best interest at heart. It's that what they think your best interest is not your best interest.
True.
So, I mean, because what's the we've talked about this from the acting standpoint, of character development standpoint. The villain never thinks they're the bad guy. They always think they're trying to do the right thing, for them, for their family, or whatever. I mean, like, Tony Soprano is probably the most perfect example of that. Obviously there's many more, but nothing's black and white. And so that's, to me, the most insidious thing is the people in power. Like, this coach probably thought he was doing the right thing, and he might have even maybe it's not this far. We probably don't want to give him this much credit, but
I'm not giving him any credit for thinking he was doing the right thing. He had it out for me.
But he probably is like, he probably had it out to you, because he's like, got to put this kid in his place. And
he's pissed because I stopped wrestling. He thought I was going to be like a prodigy, and I was like, I care about football more, because they overlapped.
But okay, from, when you're an actor, you do a lot of deep dives on psychology and what motivates us. He had something in his history, his story, and he probably saw you as himself, like what he could have been, or what he wanted to be, or what he never had the talent for, or something like that. And he looks at you and he just pissed that you're not willing to take it there.
Yeah.
And which is ironic, because the wrestlers, there's some badass wrestlers out there. They don't make any money.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not a glorified sport.
No. Anyways, Okay, so conspiracy, take Nate down. The high schoolers and your peers and family are on your side. The power structure doesn't give a crap, and they think they're doing the right thing, and they've got a mission and want more. Check out this clip or the full episode, and don't forget to leave a comment. If you want more conversations and clips, check out our channel. Thanks for listening. See you next time.